The whole thing with shimmy.
A Bluetooth one?
I'm talking about the blue cup.
Oh.
Look like Waterboy juice.
That's from Dollar Tree.
I'm talking about the stuff in it. That ain't from Dollar Tree. They gonna be like, why he got a blue cup and a water bottle? That's what they doing. Got his notebook. See, I knew them. Miss Gooden and them was doing.
Miss Gooden. I haven't heard Miss Gooden in a minute.
She's doing good. I still talk to all.
You know who actually had an influence on me was Miss Ambush. Miss Ambush.
What a name, huh?
You don't remember Miss Ambush?
Miss Ambush.
She loved
From
Etho.
where?
She loved the music teacher at Mother Marshall.
Yeah, man.
So you went to the Marshall?
Yeah.
Yo, I went to the Marshall too.
Right? Oh my God, y'all want to go to school lunch? We can get y'all to school lunch.
I didn't go to Marshall's. I don't know.
No wonder you can read.
I went to elementary school in Malden.
Miss Ambush loved Etho. She even when I wouldn't like.
She loved
is the
all
Marshall
the
still
kids,
open?
period.
Nah, it's Up Academy now.
She's not there no more.
But it's like I'm saying, is the community center still open?
Yeah, it's open.
Is it?
But
Did they fucking fix the pool?
Yeah, no, it's not the same at all. They closed the pool.
The pool's been.
They fixed it again, but can't get a lifeguard. They can't find lifeguards. They need 15 lifeguards for the whole city. Can't find lifeguards. Since I left, they can't find lifeguards.
I wonder what. I wonder what.
So he's family, right? We've been intertwined as a family forever. They're DaRosas, I'm DaRosas. But the disconnect, for you to find it's like you gotta ask grandparents. You know what I mean? So it's hard to pinpoint. So when I came over to the Marshall, they were already living on Holmes Ave. But his grandmother lived on Shirley Street originally. So all the Cape Verdeans were in Roxbury, and then his uncles and his aunts and his moms were one of the first ones to move on this side of the city. So the Cape Verdean community split between Roxbury and Dorchester. So when I came to the Marshall, he was already family. And he came through it didn't matter what I did, his mother co-signed. If he didn't listen, I did something, he co-signed. So he went from the swimming program with the school onto the swim team as a junior lifeguard, as a lifeguard. It went on and stayed on track. And then chose his path in life versus what a lot of the other kids were doing. And his shit was working. And they used to give him a hard time, not just him, but the students, right? Because they didn't want to teach them. So they had teachers like Miss Ambush that would stay after school and do music with the kids and do extra
I never got
activities.
involved in nothing like that. I had Miss Hill for a teacher twice. All she used to do, like whenever I was doing bad, because I would always finish my work first.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Yeah.
See, DJ, you getting old, huh?
Because I'm like, who the fuck was Helford?
I left the year before they were shooting.
Shit, that was the year before that, the year before that.
I mean, inside the gym.
Right, the year before that, the year before that. I started working there. I started
shooting in
working
the
there in
gym?
'95, and they were shooting in the gym.
Bruh?
Yeah.
I wasn't born then, so I wouldn't know.
Dude, they were shooting in the gym around the side door.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why we never opened the gym door
Okay.
to let the air in. Because people used to run in the
Yeah,
gym.
I remember that.
They used to keep it
Shoot the
closed
gym
until
up,
it was
yeah.
gym time.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, I
because they used to
remember
run in the door, shoot the gym
Yeah.
up, and run out the door.
I remember that. I remember being little, and they would force us to keep the doors closed, even during school hours, and because they would just come in and shoot the gym up.
That's
crazy.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was coming in my first year there, I was in they pushed me past what do you call that? Anyway, when I first came to the Marshall, they found like a dead body in the parking lot. When that happened,
That was every week.
I didn't. It was like underneath the car though. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Like, I was my first introduction to the hood. I didn't know. Like, I came from what's that?
Oh shoot!
Shoot, right down the street. There was Head Start. Then they transferred us because
Right here.
Yeah.
they burned the building down because whoever left the oven on and it was intentional. I don't even know too much about the story.
Okay.
Anyway.
He talking about ABCD on the other side.
Yeah.
On Claiborne.
Yeah.
Then I moved.
I remember that fire too.
Yeah, it was
deliberate.
crazy.
It was deliberately done.
I don't know. The story keeps changing. They said it was kids just playing around.
Nah, that was done at night.
That's what I'm saying. They said some kids were just playing around and have left the oven on.
You talking about the kids from Crown Path?
Like, I don't know the story. Like they kept changing it up.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
hearsay.
telling you,
He said, she said.
The city's too
You know?
small.
It is.
Yeah, I remember.
That's what you told me you work at the hall, and I was like, oh man, my cousin's Isaac in Austin.
I remember
Isaac
when I was
Price,
in the
Austin,
community
Austin.
center, right, playing ball after school. I don't know, it must have been like 7 o'clock at night at the Marshall, and I had walked to the bathroom, and you know the layout. When you take a left out the gym, not that bathroom by the cafeteria, but you go take that right, go all the way down by those doors that go
By
to
the
the
stairs?
playground. Yeah, by the stairs.
Yeah.
So those bathrooms. So I went to that bathroom, and when I went to that bathroom, like 6 dudes came inside from the street over Dakota, from the Dakota Street doors, and they came inside and they was grabbing computers and stealing them and bringing them outside and putting them in the truck. And they just looked at me and I'm like, I was mad small. I'm like, I'm out. And I went back to the gym. I just started playing ball like I didn't see shit. I started playing ball like I didn't see shit. I'm like, I'm good.
Being stupid is a stupid.
Yep.
This is what's up.
That's me too. I didn't see nothing.
I'm not even getting involved, bro.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Back then,
what did Chappelle say? Taking a man's money away is akin to killing him or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm good.
I ain't see nothing.
Yeah.
I ain't hear nothing.
Y'all take computers. I'm just taking a
piss.
piss. We good. Like,
after that many incidents, they started locking the doors. We had to have a safety meeting with the commissioner or the director of BCYF at the time, it was community center, because the marshal was having break-ins like every 20 seconds. They'll come in, they'll fix the door, someone break in. Someone leave the door open, next thing you know, the whole second floor is ransacked. Then the third floor, the principal's office. Like, they just couldn't keep the building secure because the custodians were white. They didn't care.
yeah.
Not
I mean,
only
you
that,
lived in
I
the
was 12
administration,
years
though.
old, dismissing him from school with no ID, nothing.
Yeah.
I would go
Yeah,
in there
I was
like,
in the-
I want to dismiss my little brother. He's in kindergarten. Like, okay, Daniel Defina, come downstairs.
Yeah, I remember being in like 3rd grade and they locked down the cafeterias. We was in school lunch and they locked us in the cafeteria for like 3 hours because all we knew was someone's in the building with a gun.
There was a shooting on the street.
Yeah.
They had helicopters flying around.
And I'm like, bro, this is, yeah. I mean, I don't think nothing of it at the time, like I'm just a kid.
Yeah.
But thinking of it now that's funny that we're having the conversation now. I'm like,
And it doesn't
damn.
make the news in our community at all. Like even when I went to English. And
So you as a parent now, you gonna
That's
allow
funny,
that
I went to
happen?
English too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's what they were sending most of the kids in this community.
Mm-hmm.
You went to certain school.
Yep.
Kids in Hyde Park go to Charlestown.
They tried to send me to
Yeah.
Charlestown. I said no.
I went to
sir.
Charlestown. I
Yeah.
graduated.
That's what they originally tried to send me because
These are my
when I was
Charlestown.
first getting into high school, I think Shay was going to Charlestown and I think Etho too. So they tried to send me to Charlestown, but I didn't. I freaking accepted it going to English. But I don't know how much better that is.
told me I
But
got a scholarship back, but she couldn't afford it. And next thing I know, I'm in English.
No, they
Yeah.
tried to send me to Charlestown because my sister had gone there. She graduated there. But I did my research. The graduation percentage was below 50%. And I was
Listen,
like,
we had 250 people in my senior year. 50 kids graduated.
what was your senior year? What year did you go?
2006.
Might have been the same year my sister graduated.
Who your sister?
Shirley Contreras. But yeah, and
You used to- you
I
used to
took a
teach
part-time
one
job
time,
and paid my own tuition.
Okay.
I graduated without my degree, and I was like, I'll pay for it in the summer. Just give me a fake degree until I could finish it. But there was nobody gonna send me to Charlestown. That was what, 2011?
My daughter wants to go to Charlestown. She's going to high school. She's like,
she wants to go to Charlestown.
she's like, please, mommy, I want to go to Charlestown.
Oh hell
I'm
no!
like, hell no. I graduated from Charlestown. You are not going there.
That's because all her friends are going.
Yeah.
All her.
No, you see, that's the fight that I try to get people involved in. We let the school system get so
Dictate.
ran down
Yep.
that now, instead of us fixing the problem, we're running from the problem.
Yep.
You got to get involved. So the next kid, where you gonna send your son?
Well, I'm trying to get my son into Mecca.
I hate
people.
Mecco. I hate
Why?
the fact that you have to bus black kids out
Why?
to white neighborhoods.
Why?
I don't know. I just
Shit, my kids go to Concord. They had a time of their life.
Bro, I don't know because
My
me
business
being
is
like, bro, I
keep
started like.
sucking.
Listen,
See, I don't know,
my
bro.
kids are gonna get bullied by some racists? Shit, that's
My little cousin don't. But at the same time, it's like you gotta think about your social isolation.
How? My kids go out there and clown the shit out of them.
It
My
depends on where you go.
my kid try to diss Jason. He's like, "Why? Hold on, let me show you what my dad do be doing."
Nah, my little cousin be stuck in Melrose, right? She's biracial. She's white and black. Little white black girl, she goes out there and she's automatically seen as by all these rich ass white kids as just straight black. Like,
Okay, that's fine.
But it's not. Of course, like. But at the same time, it's this level of social isolation because there's not many other black kids you can talk to in school.
But-
You're coming from Dorchester, right? You're coming from A low-income
I'm gonna
household.
introduce you to my daughter, David.
Right.
She's 12.
Okay.
And you'll see.
All right.
It's how the parents raise you.
Yeah,
How your
I
parents
definitely
give you the confidence.
I definitely agree with you there, but to a certain degree, it's like. Damn.
But you don't think it has any effect, like when they?
No. Dayla, shit, the high schoolers know her. She was in elementary.
Yeah.
I walk into the school, I'm like, Dayla, you know her? Yeah, she was the one that was doing the ice cream thing at the cookout. I'm like,
I just be thinking about like my own upbringing, living in Malden. I mean, I'm black, but I'm light skinned. You know, I have a different type of advantage. You know what I mean?
Malden got a whole bunch
But-
Brazilians.
Now,
I feel like Malden's
but when
diverse.
but back then, nobody knew what Cape Verdean was at all, and I had a friend who was dark skinned. They called her Tall Charcoal, and she was like, she would introduce herself as that. She's like, hey, I'm Tall Charcoal. You know, when I think about it now, and all my teachers too. Like I never had a black teacher till I came to Boston Public Schools, and all my teachers back then would do stupid shit. Like I remember I dropped my book off my desk one time, and my teacher made me go downstairs to apologize to the class underneath me for disrupting their class.
Oh, hell
So
no.
that's why you have to break that system now.
Yeah, so no, that's my outlook on like sending kids to white
no,
neighborhoods,
that's-
sending black kids to white
And
neighborhoods.
all that what you just said is what you teach your kids. So when they do go to Mecca, no, I'm not going downstairs to apologize. Well, I'm going to call your mother. Please do.
Right.
Hold on. I'm out. They're calling you.
Yeah, me and my
I got the
cousin.
phone down. Hold on.
Yeah, because me and my cousin was just having a conversation the other day, and we was talking about like social norms when it comes to like raising kids and bullshit like that, and like the oh, that's a bad word, and
Right.
go to bed early, and like I'm the parent that's like, there's no such thing as bad words. You can use any word. I can make any word bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can.
That's how
You
my
know what I
father
mean?
raised me.
Yeah, I can make
My
any word
sister
bad.
did.
And if you use it in the right context, it's a good word. It's whatever word it is. You know what I mean? We
Okay, quick.
yeah. You know, we swear all the time. Like, cause his mother called me, like my son's mother called me, like, oh, he came home and he said, "What the fuck?" I was like, okay. So, why? I was like, why did he say it? He's like, oh, he was playing with his toy and he got mad. I was like, shit. At least said it in the right context. Like, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, yeah, and she's like, yeah, right. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like he knows how to use it. She's like, oh, he's gonna go to school and say this, and that.
No, he's said
My niece
like
be
aw
like,
shit
"Oh,
before.
all over the time.
Yeah, she's like, he's gonna go to school and use these words.
My thing is, in school, he's gonna hear them anyway.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He's gonna hear from the world regardless.
It's part of life. Like, so I'm saying, like she was saying, like,
There's a
oh,
joke like
he's gonna be in elementary, or what if one day he tells a teacher, oh, fuck you. I'm like, well, my first question would be, why did he say fuck you? What did you do to deserve the fuck you? So that'd be my first question to the teacher, right? And then if he didn't, if it was something that was uncalled for, all right, now I have a conversation to have with my son. But before that, I want to know, what did you do to my son that my son felt like he had to flip
Right,
you
'cause
off?
I'm not gonna come at my son for defending him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Especially-
Yeah, in those
especially
situations.
When there's a white teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I tell Jason, I'll deal with them.
You know how many fucked up shit I have had? How many fucked up shit white teachers have said to me? Like just through elementary, middle, and high school.
But
You know what I
some
mean?
of the worst stuff I ever got was from some of the immigrant teachers. Someone like the Caribbean teachers. Like I got called a monkey growing up because I was bored. I would finish my tests early and I started disrupting class. She was like, "You're acting like a monkey. Have some sense." Da 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 da.
And at the time, you don't think nothing of it.
Right, I don't think
You're like,
it's
whatever,
a
right?
joke, and
But
then
yeah,
the
when
mother
you
comes
think
in
back
and I
as
tell her, you know what I'm saying? She
when you
comes
think
back
back
to
as an adult at it, like, yo, fuck you.
You know what I'm saying?
They like, you know what I mean? But like, I mean, yeah, I all the shit that's been said to me from people that were supposed to be my teachers, right, throughout school.
But me,
I don't
right?
think. Well, yeah, but you. I mean, but
I don't want to get hurt. You're bigger than me now.
I was at the Grove and I got my hair done. I was looking at myself and I forgot a reflection or something. She was like, "What are you doing? You look like a pig." And I was like, and another student threw a chalkboard eraser at her.
White teacher?
White teacher at the Grover.
Yeah,
And
because you can't tan. Get your son to come back into the scene. You go on vacation because you look red.
nah, she got fired. I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. I walked out of her class and went down to the principal's office. I'm like,
And this
not
is
going
why
back-
we have to
and-
be in the game making changes.
and then she never came back to school. They fired her after
We
that.
gotta be in the game to make the changes. The same thing that you went through, this kid's going through it right now. Orchard Gardens, the kids can't go outside and play in the playground. because of the needle.
Yep.
You walk into school, they got a big bulletin sign that's telling the kids what to do when they identify a needle. Instead of something greeting them to have a great day, they kept kids that had ADHD stuck in the classroom for a whole year because they couldn't go outside because the city didn't want to identify the issue. So the more we sit and don't...
Yeah, what though? What was that? ADHD?
ADHD. The kids that can't sit still. ABC syndromes. There's kids that can't be in the classroom for 8 hours, 6 hours. They need to do 30 minutes, 20 minutes. 30 minutes, 20 minutes. You keep their attention span by giving them a little and taking a little. You can't keep them sitting in the class for an hour. Right? So the whole time I'm at the Marshall, that's all I was doing. Ms. Jackson would call me to go to the classrooms, and most of the kids were flipping out because they stuck in the room for an hour, knowing that they can only be there for half an hour. And the teachers won't take them outside the classrooms. Miss Desmond, when I started working with her, because she was the dean of discipline, she'd be like, Migos, can you take them for a walk? Man, we gonna get some ice cream. Get that shit. I'm pissed off too.
This is the same thing. Come get this kid. I'm like, hey.
And there was an ice cream truck station right outside the Marshall too.
All the time, every day. That's the school. They knew they make money out there.
Yeah, you got those good ones too. Like I remember my senior year is when like my brother died in my senior year. So like after a couple months I went back to school, and I could remember a couple of the teachers like they was just trying to fail me because I've missed fucking 3 months, right? At the time, my principal, I can't remember, I think my principal was Dr. Narcisse, black dude. He basically went to my teachers like, you're gonna pass him or at least give him makeup work.
Give him an opportunity. Right?
And then I pretty much ended up getting makeup work from all my teachers. My history teacher pretty much just passed me, no problem. He was like, I'm not even gonna give you any makeup work.
That's what happened to me too.
And then
when I went through my shit.
Yeah, and then what happened? I can remember our dean, Mr. Ortiz. I like left class one day, and I just went to go chill in his office. Me and him left. We grabbed food. We grabbed some Spanish food. We went down to the graveyard, to my brother's graveyard, in the middle of the school day. You know what I mean? So there's still like obviously there's good examples too.
That's a real teacher.
I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Because in Boston, you know, in BPS, these teachers aren't just teachers. You know, they're our counselors. They're our behavioral specialists. You know. Right. Because the people that are stationed to be our counselors, they're mostly white people who don't know how to identify with our issues. So we go to our teacher, you know, that one black teacher we have, and they console us. They're there for us. And it's like that. Yeah,
that was how Mr. Ortiz was for me. I had black teachers, but like he was like just about our age, and invested. Like there's teachers that like genuinely care, and then there's teachers that it's just a job to them.
And this is why I say Metco is a little harder for a lot of other kids.
Hell no.
If you don't have somebody, you don't have that.
I went to the coach and told him they sub nicely. Hey, how you doing? I'm Jason DaRosa's dad. Oh yeah. Listen, I've been coaching for 30 years, and you know these boys are doing a phenomenal job. But you know, at this age, you know, football's a little slower. So you know, the best way to get them to work a little harder is to make it very simple. Oh yeah, you know. So why the fuck y'all running a 3.5? On a freshman team? They don't have the speed to keep up on the field. Yeah. You just don't. You run a 5.3 for freshman team, so you put more pressure on the defensive line. You take the smart kid who knows what he can read what's going on, that he can back up off the line or pressure the line. No, he want to put 3 guys on the line, and they're running up the gut on his ass because he got 5 linebackers.
Yeah, me and my cousin was just talking about the other day because his little brother Johnny, his little brother Kenny, just started playing football, and we was talking about like bad programs because he's playing football and he's being forced to play a position he don't want to play or that he doesn't know how to play. Right. You know what I mean? And we was talking about like bad programs and just kind of like it's kind of like that in all like public school systems. Like you play the position that
the coach wants.
The coach wants you to play. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to learn.
When you're trying to learn the game, like I
lost more games learning the sport because I was learning coaching. And then at the end of the day, I get letters from kids. Yo, listen, I just got accepted to Bryant. And I'm like, dude, why you crying? I did it. Listen, meatball, I need tickets. You know that shit. Like, yo, you still got work to do. Like Rivaldo. I mean, Rivaldo's, was my grades. I don't want to hear no freaking highlights of you dunk. I don't care. You can rub your nuts on some guy's head. Where's my grades? Where's your GPA? Oh, man goes. I said, yeah, that's why you're at a junior college. I've been telling you this since 7 years old. You got to take your education serious. It's not the sports that get you there. It's the grade levels. It's your academics that get you to where you want to go. You can't go to University of Miami if you could only go to RCC. It don't work like that. You might have University of Miami game, but your education brings you there. He's in Texas. He's the number one player in junior college. But he went to O'Brien. So the coaches just passed him along. As long as he was putting up points on the board, his teachers just passed him along. And then when it came time to go to college, he had to go to junior college to get his shit together instead of going straight. He's that kid that went to Kentucky that passed away the other day. Rivaldo's better than him on everything, but this kid had his grades together. Rivaldo didn't, so that's what happens to our kids. Like, look at Alex, great ball player, winds up at Bunker Hill.
Right, could have played college basketball anywhere in the country, anywhere in the fucking country.
And this is why we have to be involved. Listen, I don't want to run for office. I can make my own money, but I have to run for office because all the work I did. I never got an award for nothing I did. All I got was grief. You're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid. Why am I stupid for helping some kid? Well, you're not getting nothing out of it. Why do I got to get something out of it when you don't see the future? You can't read what DJ was going to do 20 years down the road. Do you look like you're in a bad position right now?
Right, nope.
No one thought of that. Right. When you used to come to me telling me you couldn't do certain classworks, I put you in my office for an hour and you did it, right? Then you got in the pool, swam for 2 hours. And then you went home and still did what you had to do. Now you're a father with a 2-year-old, so what are you going to do for him? What are you going to change today for tomorrow so he don't have to go to Mecca? If you don't fix BPS, guess where he going? Mecca.
Right. That's exactly what I was
saying. Yeah, for sure.
Shit, let's get this podcast started.
This whole conversation getting thrown on a part.
He got his own glass.
That is. We talking right there, just community issues right there. That's community issues right there.
Like that whole topic was just education.
Why, you recording?
Yeah, it's recording.
Oh, you been recording?
Yeah, I've been recording.
I said, you better edit that. I'm definitely not, but it's the real piece, man, and that's why it's important for to use personal experience to drive people. If not, we're gonna lose it. I went to the Emerson. You think they were trying to get me to Harvard? They were just trying to get me out the door. I went to Dearborn. They cared less. I went to Madison. They really didn't care.
Right.
People were coming in the building with guns, and the teachers. We had teachers having kids with the students. We had teachers buying crack from the students.
I got some crazy stories like that too from my high school. I'm not gonna mention the teacher's name, but we had a teacher. We used to get out of school on Friday, and me and a bunch of my friends, we'd go down to the teacher's house on Friday night. We'd get drunk, smoke weed, fucking.
Did he wind up on the news? Because y'all had a lot of teachers.
Nah, she didn't.
It's a different teacher. This one in prison right now.
Different teacher. This is a teacher that we ain't gonna put in prison. So.
He said, "No, I like it.
So yeah, but yeah, we would go down there. We'd fucking smoke and drink on a Friday night. Fucking, some of us would pass out there, like, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, there's countless stories like that.
But that's what we have to change. So
for sure.
So we don't add stories like that.
For sure.
Because a lot of that young mind is influenced in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I tell Devontae, that's what college is for.
Yeah.
You want to party? You want to experiment? Go to college. Do it where you're learning, but at the same time you're enjoying your youth.
Right.
Because once you hit a certain age, ain't no turning back.
Right.
You don't want to go to college as an adult. I was the old guy in class with 18, 19-year-olds watching their parents pay for their tuition. And here I work a full-time job, got 2 kids at home, trying to pay the rent, trying to stay alive, trying to stay, like, literally stay out of the grave. Because what was going on in Dorchester, every other day somebody was getting either shot or killed, right? And then I'm like, damn, I could have did this at 18.
Right.
They told me I had 2 options: prison or the military. I didn't want to go to neither, so I chose my own path. And we don't get those opportunities. People don't tell you. to see something that you might not see. People are supposed to encourage you to do things that you never see. That's why coaches are very important in people's lives, young, especially young people. Children as young as 6 months can swim, but we don't put them in the pool till they're 5. Why? Why are we waiting so long?
Right.
Why are we waiting so long? Oh, he's too young. Too young to do what? He can use the bathroom. He knows how to feed himself. He knows the word no. He knows the word yes. So what is wrong with you teaching them how to do something at a younger age?
Listen, all my kids work here.
Why not?
All of them work
Shoot,
here.
they gotta eat.
I don't gotta tell them how to set up a paint party. They know exactly what to do. They know where things are placed.
And that goes, what you're doing now with the kid goes even further. Because then when they're of age, they go, I already have experience.
Yeah.
Here's my resume. I
I'm
already
trying to see which one's gonna take over.
For real though, you know what's funny? It's like I literally got.
Or venture off and start 2 more.
Yeah.
Right. And I literally, but exactly what y'all saying. I literally got in my notes here, like how much of an impact you had, as even like it goes so
as a
much,
lifeguard.
Yeah, it goes so much further than beyond the pool, bro. You know what I mean? Like so much further beyond the pool than fucking on lap 40 and he's screaming in my ear, 1 more lap,
They're on the water.
1 more lap. You know what I mean?
They used to hate
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like we doing 25
Did it
laps
work?
today. Of
Did it
course,
work?
yeah. And that's what I'm saying. And that shit gets carried on way beyond the pool. You know what I mean? Way beyond the pool. And then like we're doing 25 laps today. We finished 25 laps. And then he's like, 1 more lap. All right, 1 more lap. 1 more lap. All right, 1 more lap. 1 more lap. I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean?
I'm glad I missed you as a lifeguard. Come on, as a coach at that.
Yeah, listen. 1 more. Yeah, just 1 more. No, we gotta. You did all this right, but the flip turn, your feet missed the wall. Gotta do it again.
Right.
You know what?
Literally,
But
bro.
you know what? When they got out the pool, their chest used to be flexing, and they look back and they're like, "See, I didn't know all the rules of swimming." So you supposed to stay in the water and wait. My sharks used to be on the deck, like going to take a shower, and they're still looking down the pool, and the kids just touching the wall because the other coaches was doing it for fun. I was doing it because I needed them to find something that they can grab onto
And invest in
to
stuff.
get out of the hood,
Right.
to see something different. Where the other kids, especially the Caucasian kids, they were doing it for recreation. These kids were doing it to stay alive, to stay off a street corner, to find a future. And that was me at 8 looking for something to do. Me at 15 looking for a job. Me at 20 trying to find a career in life. And it became a lifelong passion to work with the young people because that's what I was doing to make sure I stayed out of trouble. So I understood what they were going through at the same time that I was going through it. But people around us that should have been making the real impacts was just pushing us along.
Yeah.
And it's like,
That's how the system keep going.
right, and that what you're saying too about the pool, like, there were, I can remember one specific instant. How long do you remember how long the Marshall pool was?
20 yards, it was shorter, so we had to swim an extra lap.
Yeah, so 20 yards. So I remember going swimming underwater on one breath, down, underwater, coming about maybe a quarter of the way back, and coming up like out of breath.
Yeah.
Fuck. And he's like, nah, do that shit again. You can go both ways.
You did it though.
I'm like, damn. So I do it again.
Yep.
40 yards.
And then I'm coming back. 40 yards underwater, no breath. I go underwater, all the way down, coming back. I'm going. And I'm just going. And I'm underwater, bro. And I'm like, I'm like dying. I'm like, nah. I'm like mad close to the wall. And I'm like,
You know that feeling?
yeah. And I'm like dying. And then I like explode out the pool and just fall onto the deck. And then he was saying like he seen my body like reacting, like shaking underwater. Because like I was under there dying. I was thinking like I was literally thinking all type of shit. I was like, maybe if I swallow water, that's some oxygen and I can, you know what I mean? Like something. There got to be some air in this water or whatever. So like,
I'm a fish, bro. I'm a fish.
so yeah, I was dying.
H2O, right?
For real though, like but shit like that, bro, that shit happened. I shouldn't even be able to remember that shit. I was mad young.
Why not?
But no, I'm saying I was mad young. But I'm saying the impact.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
I know what I
remember
was
because of the
doing.
impact. You feel me?
It's like yesterday.
Yeah, like I can remember that shit vividly. I remember the words he said when I jumped out onto the deck and fell on the deck, and he was
What an
swimming to the rest of the swim
accomplishment,
team.
The
You
next
know?
time you jumped in and did breaststroke, did you swim half the way down and then came up, or did you jump in and come out?
Right, all the way down. That's, you know what I mean? And
as a
that,
breaststroker,
yeah.
you need to be able to do 3/4 of a length.
yeah, and
of
that
the pool
alone
to
makes
come
me
up.
win races. You know what I mean? So like,
dynamite. So imagine when they tell you black kids can't swim, and you walk into a swimming pool with 40 sharks, and they're ripping people apart.
Mm-hmm.
Breaststroke, butterfly, backstroke, freestyle. Every single stroke, every single kid can do. The only stroke they can't do is on the deck. They don't sit on the deck. The next stroke, yo, you just got out the water. The next stroke. Listen, man, y'all fill out the sheet. I'm gonna go sit over there.
Bro, I was 12, 13, spanking motherfuckers that are 16, 17. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Spank absolutely just blowing through people.
Yeah.
The only one that I knew that was probably better than me on the swim team was Jay.
Yeah, up the street, a little bit.
Other than that, bro, I don't know. I'd never seen a better swimmer than me other than Jay.
He's still
Like-
a lifeguard working for the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we talk about these, how to keep youth out of trouble, right, or how to give youth a better path, there's systems already in play, but the accountability
It's not there.
is not there.
Nope.
Yeah.
So when I did my job, it wasn't a job. He's not a job. He's
No.
not a payroll.
No.
The kids in my community is not a job. They're my family.
Mm-hmm.
They're kids that you grow to love as your own. So when you hear teachers say, those are my babies, or you hear a provider say, those are my babies, and you can relate because you was in the school system.
Yep.
You watch a kid go from snotty nose to, I can do it myself. First time I seen a kid put a jacket on the floor, I'm like, what are you doing? You're going to dirty your coat. I'm putting my jacket on. Show me. He slid his arm, threw it on. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, my son did that.
I was like, where do you learn that at? We do it at school. I'm like, I need that because sometimes I can't get my coat on. But it's the way we go about picking up ways to teach our youth, ways to teach our babies, our youngest population. Because his son is 2. I show you a video of my daughter, 2-year-old snowboard.
Yeah.
Right.
So don't tell me they can't do it at a young age. My oldest is be 23. He was riding dirt bikes at 18 months by himself on 4-wheelers. While we got the whole city flooded with 4-wheelers, my son was doing that when he was a year and a half. Because I was riding dirt bikes and I made sure you could ride. So a lot of us parents, we shoot ourselves in the foot by telling ourselves our kids can't do something instead of saying
Social
try it.
norms.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
social.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just having this discussion with my cousin, and how like, even though it's not even always all the time that parents don't want their kids to do something. Sometimes it's their traumas that limit their kids. You know.
That's
Yeah,
a fact.
for sure.
So it's like I noticed like even like my mother didn't let me ride the bus by myself until I was 13 years old. Right. And
That was last week.
That was 7 years ago.
All right, you can't talk. You're only 3 years older than me. You
Oh,
can't.
shit.
Listen, but my mother had to go to the bus station by ourselves when we were like in elementary school. She
but
said,
that's not
if you
good.
come back and you miss the bus, we gonna have a problem. So we made sure to be there on time. We had our own little squad. It was 7 or 8 of us. Got
Y'all making
together.
me feel bad. My daughter wants to ride the train so bad. I'm like, nope, I'm picking you up and dropping you off.
I
But
wish.
that's not a good thing. So, as you finish your point, Jerry.
Nah, cause I'm like, all right, now I'm riding the bus as a 14-year-old. I don't know how in the world I'm gonna get from Ashmont to Forest Hills. It's one bus, but here I go taking the 23 to Ruggles, then getting on the orange line, going straight to Forest Hills. Like, okay, I guess I know my way by Boston now. Like I didn't know anything, and then just getting English was a hassle. When I ended up at Young Achievers, I wasn't taking a 26 from my house, getting off right in front, right on the Morton Street Blue Hill intersection. I was walking straight to school because I didn't know how to take the bus, you know? And that's the type of limiting you do as a parent when you allow your trauma about the city or wherever you live to limit their experiences, limit their learning as a child.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's also very real too.
Yeah, it is real.
You feel me?
That
It's
doesn't
very
mean
real.
you're scared. You
You know what I
really
mean?
want to
Yeah,
chase.
it's very
You
real
really want
because
to
you
chase.
got like just the other day on Only Street, some grandmother shot on her porch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So like just shit like that, just shit happens. You know what I mean?
So
I
how
let
do you
my
go
daughter-
about changing it?
I let my daughter walk from home. We live right around the corner to come to work here. And she was like, oh my God, Mommy, I didn't realize what I was doing. Some guy let me cross the street. And I said, thank you. He said, you ain't got to say thank you, Mama. Come here. Let me talk to you for a second. She's like, and I went to his car. I was like, what the hell? What are you thinking? She's like, but then when I got to the window, I said, what am I doing? And I ran over here. I'm like, all right, so you definitely ain't taking the train. Like,
Yeah.
if you're
Take
not
it with them.
aware.
Take it with
Yeah.
them.
So when she first started middle school last year, or the year before, me and my husband like followed her on the next train, and we like went with her to school.
Yeah, take it with them.
And it was fine. But then I'm like, no, I'm not there. You know, like
It's scary. To your point, all our middle school students now are forced on MBTA buses
Yep.
to go from one community to another,
Right.
where they might not have the knowledge. So now you put the pressure on the parent, right? So now I got to teach my 12-year-old how to go from Hyde Park to Charlestown, getting on the 33 to Forest Hills, getting on the train at Forest
2-hour
Hills.
commute.
So how is that a service to our children when we need to redistrict? Like, you shouldn't have to go all the way to Charlestown when you live in the middle of Hyde Park. And there's like 8 schools within your walking distance.
So my kids go to the Henderson right now. They used to be at St. Patrick's School, but when I used to work at the Henderson, I put them on the list. There's a wait list for the Henderson, a public school.
Right, 'cause
That's
it's a good school.
Yeah, and it's majority. It's more than 50%
It's an
white,
industry.
right? More than 50% white is the
It's an
school.
industry.
So I don't know if you guys are familiar with how BPS gets their budget. So it's basically by the zip code and their income, right? And that's how much the city funds them. Now, if you have a lot of rich, affluent white families, they also donating to the school. So when the school has a lot of these families, they get
An abundance.
of money.
Everything.
Everything. They get the kids in her school. They got
organic apples.
They go to farming school for a week.
Yeah.
They go to George's Island and Thompson Island. They don't get to choose one. They get to go to both.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They
That's still
dissect
good.
frogs.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I've
They're
worked
doing
in
biology in
I worked in
grade.
7 different Boston public schools, and that's the only school that I ever worked in that had all of that.
Yep.
And it's in the middle of Ashmont, where it's in the middle of the hood. You know what I mean?
Tucked away though.
I put her in on the list in 3rd grade. She didn't get off the list till 7th grade. She didn't get into that school. And then because now she's there, her siblings were able to go.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just wrong to me. Like how the budget and all of that works. It should be everywhere.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because
You
the
know what I
parents
mean?
don't get involved.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes the parents can't get involved.
No, that's
Because the
true.
meetings they have them strategically in times where they know parents can't
Right,
go.
right.
I mean, when I was at UMass Boston, I was a TA for one of the schools. And they put me as a TA specifically in that school so I could see the disparities. Black kids were given 1 book to share between 2 students. While you go to the next school, each student get 2 books. They get 1 for their class and they 1 to leave at home. And this is within blocks of each other. And so they tell me,
That's crazy.
these kids are on the verge of juvenile detention. No doubt. When they don't even have the resources to learn.
Right.
And so that's vividly happening now. It's just that they don't talk about it as
And
predominantly.
I get notifications of meetings and stuff via email.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of parents don't read email. They don't even send paper home no more.
Nope.
Because teachers have to buy their own paper through Boston Public
Yep.
Schools. They don't provide paper to the schools
Yeah.
no more. So that's
Due to
another
budget cuts.
yeah. So that's another thing that parents aren't able to be informed.
Nope.
You know what I mean? And then they don't have your language.
Nope, they do
You
not.
know, they have Spanish, Haitian, Creole, and English. Okay, what about the Cape Verdeans?
Mhm.
What
Oh, yeah, I
about
flipped out on
the
one of those.
Vietnamese?
Yep,
You know what I
yep.
mean? Everybody
They're
else.
getting it. They finally got it after 40 years. They finally
Like,
catching
it's
on.
on the way, right?
They're getting interpreters
So-
now because of the Zoom, right? But 5 years ago, we were asking for technologies to go home, right? Because there's a program called Tech Go Home.
Yep.
We had it at the Marshall.
Yep.
Every year, we pick 10 families within the school, and then we would train the parents, train the kids, and then take a computer home at the end of the program. So you can't say there's not enough laptops out there, but the COVID, all of a sudden they got enough
Awesome.
to buy
Yeah.
phones.
Right.
The technology's there. Now they all of a sudden lunches are free
Mm-hmm.
because
One of my kids
I never understood
bar,
that shit. That paying for school lunch shit.
Yeah.
I
Her-
never understood that shit.
Her
I don't
space
And
bar was
how
broken.
embarrassing that is, as you as a kid, like,
Yeah.
oh, my mom.
Yeah, you know how many times?
Forgot, or
Yeah, bro. You know how
and
many
you're there like-
times? Yeah, you know how many
I
times?
was gonna say it's like
and
cosign.
you
those
couldn't
days.
get lunch
Nope.
because you get 2 fucking 2 slabs of bread and a slice of cheese with a
Yep.
white milk.
Yep.
And that would be a lunch.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And
like,
they sent a letter home so that your mother knew that. you
yeah,
got
yeah,
embarrassed
like
at school,
oh, you're behind whatever on your bill. Like
you know how many of those I paid? And Miss Velma, right? That was the cafeteria.
Yeah, yeah, I
right?
remember
Miss
Miss
Velma,
Velma.
the lunch mother.
I love Ms.
I'm
Velma.
like, why? You
They're
know,
my friends.
Open school.
why didn't so and so get a lunch? Oh, he has a bill. So I go up and I ask him like, what's his bill? Oh, $6.10. I'm like,
Right.
Yeah, it's like 22 cents a meal.
Are you gonna keep him from eating? Oh, he got reduced lunch. He pays 85 cents. Are you shitting me? Like, you gonna let this kid starve for 85 cents?
Mm-hmm.
Did your check get smaller? Well, they hold me responsible. I said, I understand that. Don't scan his card.
Right.
Simple as that.
Right.
Give him a lunch. I see y'all eating it
Right. For real.
all the time. So I wound up asking her, like, pretty much, just tell me who owns. Oh, well, I can't do that. Well, okay. Well, let me know who owns, and we'll cover the bill. And like, literally, all the students that owned was probably maybe $80.
Mm-hmm.
But you divide that by it, it's a good 60, 70 kids.
Yep.
For something that's only like 4, 5, 3, 4. You know what I mean? It's not like they got a $200 tab.
No.
Right.
And the funding is there. Half the lunches don't even come warm. It's coming packaged
Right.
from an outside vendor, and it's not even healthy.
Right.
My daughter got a salad bar. She chose to go to Concord Carlisle because they had a salad bar. She's a vegan. Versus the school that the Dorchester Neighborhood Charter High School that they wanted, the Dorchester House, they have a high school too and a middle school.
Yeah.
She said she went there and it was like, I'm all set. Because they bring the lunch in the coolers. They don't have cafeterias. They just have a cafeteria with no kitchen.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so that's where you want to go? Yeah. I said, why? Because they got a salad bar. I was like, okay, that works for you.
They have no salad bar. A piece of bread with some cheese on it. That's it.
He said that the cheese never melted.
Nope.
We have
No.
for
real.
You get light on fire.
Light on fire, it don't even melt, it just burn.
So how do we change it? How
It
do
just
we
got
change
black.
it?
Yeah, it just get black. Like
Like crack, right?
But then you have that, and then you have the Boston Police in there, and you have ICE.
Well, listen, the Boston
So we don't get
Police,
fed, we get police, and then we get our undocumented kids off.
certain schools have school police, and certain schools, the high school level, there's always going to be a police officer there because the gang affiliation, within the building. But we have a program called, now it's called SWORDS, also known as the street workers, right?
Yeah.
That can replace these individuals who can work with at-risk youth within the high school at a schedule that accommodates the school versus individuals who hold positions within that specific program. You can't have a program like, for me, I always go back for me because that's what I was doing. I was doing everything in the building besides my job. You know what I mean? Because there was always a lack of. I would take the kids from the swim team and take them on the basketball team and then put them on a snowboard and then put them on ice skates and then we'll go back to the pool. As the season changed, right? Because I couldn't get the youth worker to do shit. I couldn't get the street worker to do shit. I couldn't get the athletic worker to do shit because there was no accountability. So people were free to do as they pleased. But we have the resources from elementary to high school. You got youth workers in middle school identifying students who live or are involved in certain activities.
Yep.
Then you identify them and then you provide them with services like BMBL, Books Not Ball, Books Not Ball.
No books, no ball.
Yeah, No Books No Ball, base program, all the different pop water programs because the middle schools don't have it.
Nope.
So you use the outside
My middle
entities.
school got shut down.
The Rogers?
Yes, it did.
It's going to be an old senior building.
Yeah, I used to get the Rogers.
It's going to be a senior building. So you have the infrastructure, but there's no accountability. You take a street worker and you put him inside Madison. Now the youth worker at the the Mildred Ave, at the King, at the Dearborn, will call you as a youth worker at Madison and say, hey, Domingos, Jacob, and Jeremy, and DJ, and Samantha's coming to the school. DJ's coming from this corner. You're coming from that corner. Domingos is involved in this, and Jacob's involved in that. And then you kind of figure out, hey, how you doing, Jacob? I'm your student liaison. I'm going to introduce you to the school. I'm going to show you what you got. And then I'm going to help you pick and choose programs to help you better fit your day. But at the same time, I've already know what the youth worker's been working on. Domingos is lacking parent support. Domingos speaks 2 languages. Domingos has this as an issue. So as you're passing the student along, these people are helping. And that's what community center offers. We already offer those programs on a different budget in a different department, but there's no joint collaborations that are actually panning out because there's no accountability.
Lord.
So that's where that police brutality and all that stuff comes into play. Because when I walked into Madison for the first time and see metal detectors, I'm like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this?
It's crazy because I never went to school. I guess minus elementary, but after elementary, middle school, high school, metal detectors, pat downs,
Why is that a norm?
Yeah, I
In
never
the black
had,
and brown community.
Right.
They started that the year after I graduated. I remember when I went to go get my transcripts. I'm like, you patent? I'm coming to get my transcripts from high school to go to college, and I gotta go through a metal detector.
Yeah.
Like,
I can remember seeing it's funny, I remember seeing a video a while ago on Facebook, and it was of kids filing into a school, whatever school, wherever, I don't know where it was, it's just whatever video on Facebook. And kids were walking through metal detectors getting wanded down before they get into school. And I couldn't find a comment that didn't say, they have metal detectors in school? What the fuck? You know what I mean? And I'm like, wait, I didn't have metal detectors? I'm like, hold up. Hold up. I had metal detectors.
Well, why do you think we had
I
all
got
these school
wanded,
shootings?
pat down,
And these
bag
white
searched.
communities.
Yeah, my
In the
daughter.
black communities is metal detectors, in the white communities is a coffee and a donut.
Right.
When
You
I
walk
was-
in, it's like,
I was like telling my daughter she needed to put on a coat. She's like, that's too many clothes I have to take off to go to the metal detector. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
They don't even tell parents that there's metal detectors
no.
at the school. When I was working at the Henderson, there was no metal detectors. This is a K through 12 school. And you making all the kids go through metal detectors.
shit,
to
ain't no
come
metal
in.
detectors in Concord at all.
Right.
And they don't tell you how that traumatizes you.
Dude, they buzz the door in, you go to the office, you go on this little iPad and you punch your name in, you smile, they take a picture, they give you an ID with a picture on it. They give you your name and all that and who your child is and where you're going. You put it on your chest and you walk through the building.
That's crazy.
And I think that even that mentality, ties into how we treat kids regarding mental health services or even accidents, right? Because like the city's first response when they identify you as a bad kid, even when they misidentify you, is to send you to the Barentine, right? Like, I was being bullied for when I first got to middle school for 2 years straight. I got tired of it, and I held one. We was in science class. We was on the second assignment in the 2 years, and I took my scalpel, I had it to the kid's neck, and I straight threatened him, I got real crazy, and next thing I know, the best team comes in, and I'm told I'm getting sent to the Barents.
But now you the bad kid.
Exactly, I'm the bad kid.
Finally,
I
after
just
2 years, you're like,
defended
fuck this, I had enough, bro. You know what I mean?
Exactly, right? And they had moved me out of classrooms.
Now imagine having a youth worker who can actually navigate through the school to be able to pick up on that bullying versus some white therapist who's like clueless.
Right. That brings you in this room to play in a sandbox.
Clueless.
You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
At the Barents
I can't even
Center,
tell you.
I ended up learning a lot more about the streets. I learned a lot more about
Being bad.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Than I would have ever had. Had I had that assistance in school, right?
Yeah.
Right. And it's like the Barents Center honestly was one of the most fun places I've ever been in my life. I gotta be honest about that.
Yeah, of course, you got in trouble for nothing.
So when they sent me, I was
You
like,
got stripes. You got the Barents Center?
Right.
Yo, man, you're cool.
It wasn't even that. It wasn't even that. It was like, because they did this thing called, their Prison Tuesdays. And they would take us, it was like me on skate straight without cameras. That's what I would call it.
What? Prison
prototype.
Tuesdays?
Yeah.
They used to take kids.
And they said,
They used to take kids to the state prisons.
Yep.
I used to take him. I helped Mikey do his whole time. I used to bring the kids from the Marshall to go visit, to do what they call the youth project out of Norfolk.
Wow.
Services. And you know what's so crazy? Like we talking here, and you say English, he's like English, you say English, he said. So we're sitting in the pen, everybody's sitting down, there's like 20 guys, 20 kids, and as soon as someone says the Rogers, I go to the Rogers. I go to the Marshall. And they start talking, and the connection from the schools that they went to, just the connection from the schools they went to, it went into, do you know Mrs. So-and-so? Do you know Mr. So-and-so? And, for a minute, the individuals who are incarcerated kind of like feel free because they can share. And then the kids who are taking it in can relate because they're talking about the cafeteria. Does it still look like this? Is Miss So-and-so still there? And the two difference in the worlds connect. And then the kids leave and see what they're leaving behind. Not only what they're leaving behind, but that's me. That's me in elementary school, or middle school, or high school. And it changes the way they think about
that's
which way to go.
too.
So what they do, they cut the program because it was working. It's not all in your face, throw you in a jail cell, slam the gate behind. No, it was more like, yo, this is what I did wrong. But I live in Fields Corner. I started hanging out with this group. I started doing this and started doing that. And the kids who lived in Fields Corner related. The kids that lived in Mattapan related. And these are the things that we can apply. It doesn't cost us anything more. It might cost us a little time and effort, but it's not costing us anything more. And we got to bring that to the conversation. You're not going to change police brutality,
right,
until you change the mind of the people.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to talk about too. Was with the police brutality, like people can sit and complain and bitch and whatever about it and bullshit whatever about it, but like, what's like real solutions for it? Like real solutions for it.
Education.
That, you know, and like me and my cousin was talking about the other day. A real solution for it would be like, imagine, right, if you have every black person in the country or majority, right, the solution is to invest, right? So we was talking about it and we was like, all right, so imagine every black kid in the country or every black person in the country or most are start investing, right, into these companies, right, because we're the biggest consumers in the country, right? So imagine we start, instead of being the biggest consumers of the country, we start investing, right? We come together, we invest into one company, like Square, like Nike, like fucking, what's the company called? It's
Modern Art.
LVMH.
Modern Art.
You know, LVMH, it's Louis Vuitton, Moet and Hennessy. They own Tiffany and Co. They got a 5% share in Gucci. I have it written down for me, but they own what Fenty. Freaking Christian Dior, Givenchy.
All that. I don't even know none of that.
Hold on. But what I'm saying is they own these companies, right? But these are the companies that us as a black community are always buying into, right? Nike, Square, Fox.
We don't have no dividends.
That's what I'm saying, and nothing. But we pay them all the time. We get them richer. These people that are the owners, right? That have all the dividends are the white people, right? So now if as a black community we start investing, right? Now if we have now as a black community we have majority ownership, the agenda quickly goes from white to black. You know what I mean? Now imagine we had majority ownership of Fox. That's a publicly traded company. Right. You know what I mean? The shit that you see, the agenda changes quickly. You know what I mean? Now before any one of these companies make a move, the black community has to be addressed. You have to talk to the black community because now we own. We own majority. You know what I mean? As opposed to right now, we just buy the product. Oh, every day I can log on right now on Facebook and see somebody I know posting a picture with a fucking Gucci chain, a Gucci belt or whatever. It's a chain, but Gucci belt or whatever, right? Flashing it and everything.
They got Gucci chains too.
Do they?
Yeah,
well, shit, I wouldn't fucking know because I don't buy shit like that. But nonetheless,
it's a design.
Yeah, nonetheless, they'll go and they'll post that, But how many shares of Gucci do you have? You know what I mean? Right. And that I think is the bigger conversation, right?
It goes back to education.
Yeah, and I feel like investing, right? We was talking about it. Investing is the solution. Another thing is too, like I'm actually in the process of getting onto the police. So I was doing Boston Police, but then I had knee surgery. The academy starts in won't be ready. My knee won't even be jogging until like June, July. So I won't be ready for it. So I took the same position, a full-time position with New Bedford Police. So now in the process of getting onto New Bedford Police, and what I'm seeing is to become a cop, it's too fucking easy. You know what I mean? It's can you do some paperwork, and can you get some good references? Can you pass this background check? But I think a bigger issue is like when you're a cop, like people. It's because it's too easy to become a cop, you're getting people that's never been through anything. So then when they're finally in a real life situation, faced with some adversity.
You gotta see what goes on in Boston.
No, for sure, but bro, it's too easy to become a cop. It's some paperwork. It's paperwork. It's a background check, and it's being in okay shape.
They make it sound that easy. It's not that easy.
It's that easy.
I know. So I personally know somebody. I don't want to put his name out there.
Yeah.
It's all white.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is
nine out of 10 of them are veterans.
Yeah, and it's both
disabled.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not that easy. If you don't have, we argued at the union table back in I want to say 07, 08 about bringing in civilians to be able to apply for those positions because those positions are under civil service. So if you're not a civil servant, you can't take those positions.
Yeah.
Right? So I took the exam, I got a 98. I was 4,500 on the list. After the disabled,
Yep.
and then the veterans. So by the time they get to me, I would never get a job because they make it so hard for certain places. New Bedford doesn't have a line of people. They told me to go to Air Mass.
Yeah.
Because Air Mass only had a waiting list of like 500. So they make it easy in some towns where they only want certain police.
Yeah, and that's
then
my
in
point.
the inner city, where they need more of blacks and browns and women, they make it a little harder. So like that, they only pick the individuals that they see fit. I don't want a disabled veteran as a police officer. He's suffering from a lot. He just came out of war.
Very true.
His first reaction is to shoot and then ask questions. What next? That's why we having some of these issues.
Right.
I'd rather see a civilian who's trying to make the community better, who's lived some of this life experience, and wants to be included into the solution.
Right. But that's the thing. You get people on into the academy, into the force that it's a job to them. And I don't think it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be oh yeah, I got a job as a.
It should be like a passion.
You know what I mean? Like
It starts off as a passion.
You should really want to have some type of whatever to.
Boston police are mentally broken down.
Yeah.
They're working 16-hour shifts mandatory.
Yeah.
Because they don't have enough officers. Then we push back and say, hey, why don't you turn it in? Like I said, in 2007, 2006, we asked for civilians to have the option. They didn't fly with it because the unions were making it stick to the civil service exam. And we're asking again today, that's what I'm asking, 2021, bring in some civilians. Make it a 50-50. If it's a class of 100, 50 civilians, 50 veterans.
See, like I took the exam, right? For civil service, and I was listed. I was top 100. It was like 92 for Boston, and but
I thought you couldn't read. You went to Marshall.
I scored high as shit on my exam.
That's good. I'm happy. That makes me feel good.
But so I took the exam and I got in the top 100. Now Massachusetts, right, classifies me as a veteran. I did a little over like a year in service, right, before I got out of the military.
Thank you for your service.
Whatever.
What do you mean? They still got to thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Kid from Dorchester.
But yeah, I did.
The white man's army.
Yeah, exactly.
Came out with
right.
a veteran status.
Right.
What's wrong with that? You benefited.
For sure. However, I don't ever take the thing because I just didn't do my time. I am classified as a veteran.
Doesn't matter.
But I didn't.
I don't care if you were serving lunch. He was in the service.
Hey, well, that's the thing too. So I guess I'll take it because I mean I did have like my MOS was a medic, right? And basically the reason why I was even bringing it up was because my thing for the police academy, right? You get in, you come in for PT at whatever time, 05 in the morning, and your day's over at 1700, 5 p.m. Right, and you go home Monday through Friday, get weekends off unless you're like failing something, you got to do some type of remedial. Right. But for the most part, you go home Monday through Friday. At the end of the day, you go home to your family, to whatever, to the comfort of your house. I don't think it should be like that, right? I think you add another net, right, and kind of weaving out the people that's not fit for it, right? You're never gonna be able to stop all the people that's not fit for it, but you add another net to weave out the people that's not fit for it by I think taking the police academy and making it like a basic training environment, right? So when I went to the military, my training was 25 weeks, right? So my training was 25 weeks. That was learning how to be a medic and learning how to be regular as a soldier, going to war, combat, whatever. So basic training, and then there was my AIT. Together was 25 weeks of training, right? In the 25 weeks, just like how I think the police academy should be, you get put up in some barracks room, you don't go home, you get cut off from all freaking connection from the world. This is your life for 6 months. You don't know anybody outside this building. Right. This is your life for 6 months. You want to be a cop, you want to go and do this. Now, by me putting you into this room for 6 months and all you know onto this base, this training environment for 6 months, this is all you know. You have no phone, no nothing, no connection. You don't have no family, nothing.
Uber Eats.
You know what I mean? nothing. You don't have shit, right? For 6 months, right? Now you're gonna start weaving out the people that's like, oh fuck that. Right. You know what I mean? There's gonna there's gonna be some people that's like, oh fuck that. That's okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think, and of course,
that's a great plan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that is one of the ways to at least, it's another net, like to at least stop some of the people that it's just a job to.
But
you know what I mean?
Doesn't that add another layer of disconnect between the police and the citizens?
Well, not really, because when I'm in the academy, I don't engage with the community anyway.
He's just saying what you're doing is you're not isolating people, but you're living with your training for the year.
6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like when you're in college, you don't get to come home as you choose.
Right,
you know
right. You know what I mean? At 5 o'clock you get up. When you're in the academy, at 5 o'clock you go home.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
And if you're in for 6 straight months, and then you have, like, for example, in the military, right, basic training is 10 weeks. We have drill sergeants and everything like that. If you spend 10 straight weeks with somebody, 24 hours a day, at some point, I'm going to realize you ain't cut out for this. You know what I mean? At some point, right? So that's kind of the same concept with the military, although there's still, it doesn't completely work because still people get into the military that's not cut out for it. But nonetheless, it kind of works. You know what I mean? It at least, like I said, adds another layer that you have to go through that people's like that immediately, like Mingo said, they drop like flies. They see 6 months, no nothing.
Yeah.
I don't. You don't even got a family. You don't got a girlfriend. Nothing.
Pro football players and athletes go through that.
Yeah,
They go to training camp and they stuck in there for a month.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything but that.
Right.
When they sign their contract, it's like, yo, I don't see my wife till the end of the season.
Right.
And I listen, I can support that because again, it's something I've never been to the military, so I can't speak on the process.
Yeah.
But I can understand where it kind of connects, where you're actually making, individuals now, it's not only mentally, physically, spiritually, but you actually see if they really truly is fit for this.
Right.
And how do we fix it?
Yeah.
Right.
How do we get that to be as part of the hiring process and part of the training? We got to get politically involved.
Yeah.
Very true.
As long as we continue to have, a process that we're not a part of, I watch people do jumping jacks, scream up and down, buy t-shirts, sweaters, go to Milwaukee for this jury, but don't go to Superior Court. Mm-hmm. That's one train ride away to do jury duty. But I sit on a grand jury.
Yeah, but I want to say that every person within the community has a job. We all have some kind of stake in that reality. Be it even in that political reality. Like I feel like businesses, we also have a duty, right? For instance, going back to your piece about investing, right? I'm wearing my company shirt. This is Little Liberty. It's a financial consultancy. I started it for to create basically financial education programs and provide that to the community. So we can talk about things like investing, get people educated on that, get people educated on how to better your credit, get people educated on career services so they can better themselves in their own job forces, right? That's how I got involved as a business owner, right? You guys get involved in your community by providing a space for Black people, right, to express themselves, right? Businesses all over our city, anywhere in any community have a duty to get involved. And I feel like we don't talk enough about what that looks like, even when we talk about the police brutality conversation. We don't talk about what that looks like when we talk about who's going to show up at the next meeting. Because, for instance, when my father wanted to open up a cannabis dispensary right there in Common Square, and he had to get community approval, no one showed up to the meeting. He said, yeah, I got community approval because the room was empty. There was nothing, there was no one there to
contested.
say. Exactly. So he had to go ahead. There was a lot of stuff that got in his way, of course, but say business owners around that area have a stake in what goes in that goes next to them, right?
But
so
big disconnect.
Big part
But it goes all the way back to how you're raised too, like
exactly.
Yeah, how you're raised and then education from the parents, right? Because growing up, what is most Black kids taught? Oh, don't get a credit card, that's bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? Don't get because their parents. Yeah, exactly. It goes back to that trauma.
You gotta understand, their parents didn't have credit cards; they were redline.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they never learned
credit.
Yeah. True.
So it goes back to education. If you don't teach your kid how to invest, you're not gonna go nowhere. If you don't teach your kid how to read, you're not gonna go nowhere. If you don't teach them how to add, it ain't gonna go nowhere. So no matter what we put ourselves into, if we don't gain the knowledge to share with others or even our own children, we ain't going nowhere. Yeah. I wasn't a great student in middle school. I became a great student in college because I was paying for it. Right?
That's right.
Elementary school, I lived in the principal's office. Middle school, and high school, I lived in some way. I was in the principal's office. Didn't matter if I did it or didn't do it. So I made sure that I didn't want my kids to be a part of BPS. I made sure that Devontae went to BC High from the 7th grade. I pulled him out of the Harlan. He went to the school over here at Ashmont, at the hill, where every time I go pick him up, there was a fight. Breaking down, as they're coming down the street, there's no supervision.
Was that Tech Boston?
Oh, I don't even know what it was. It was the middle school for Tech Boston. When they first opened it up, he did his 6th grade there. 7th grade, he was at BC High. I couldn't afford to have my future played with. Yeah. My future, not his, my future, right? But I had to tell him why I was doing it. He was upset because he was around all these white boys who have money, where the socialism comes in. Yeah, we're going to Montevideo for the weekend. Where you going? My dad got me in the swimming pool at the community center. He didn't understand what I was doing for the community as a whole. Yeah. At 23, now he's like, oh, I see what you was doing. At 23, right? And we don't see the benefit of what we're doing because people don't shine a light on it, or people don't give you the credit, or people don't want to. You're 20 with a credit advisory company. You're teaching people how to build credit, how to fix their credit. You're 20. You talk to someone that's 50, you know what they're going to say? What do you know about credit?
Right, right.
What do I know about credit? A little more than you, because apparently you don't got none. Right? But we as a community have to get involved by connecting the dots. We can have a nice debate about something as simple as water if the person's interested in it. True. If they're not interested in it, they're not going to show up. We sell weed in the community. So when you're talking about a dispensary, no one shows up.
Right. True.
When you're talking about making the community safe about gun violence, no one shows up. Because the community's committing the violence. So why would I want to show up to a community meeting and talk about the violence I'm creating? If we change the way we talk about it, here's the question for all of us. If I asked you to join the Crime Watch, would you join it? If I asked you today to join the Crime Watch in your community, would you join it? Be honest to yourself. Would you join it?
I don't see that.
Probably not.
No? How about you? Why not?
What I see in front of me, like we just had this conversation, right?
Why wouldn't you join it?
So,
hear no evil, see no evil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Don't go no further. This is not a hard. This is not the debate. It's a question. Right? If you was on a jury stand, I have a field day with you. Why? Because you're telling me more than I need. It's a yes or no question. Would you join a community association?
Different language.
I would.
Why?
Different language.
I've always been like a community type of person.
But not the Crime Watch, though.
They're the
This
same
ain't my
thing.
business.
But they're the same thing.
I wouldn't say that.
Community, yes, community
So in your
associations will
neighborhood,
split
it's
you
a
out,
Crime Watch.
just like Crime
In my
Watch.
Ground neighborhood, it's an association.
To me, a community
The name,
association.
the whole, the title.
You understand what I'm saying?
right.
And so does Crime
So
Watch.
when you're only being engaged because it's a Crime Watch, no! But then when you say it's an association and we want to talk about the building down the street that's being repaired, by the way, we want to talk about the violence at the top of the street too. You have a different conversation. But when I say Crime Watch, I ain't a snitch. I ain't getting on that. But then you watch a 74-year-old grandmother get murdered.
Right.
But then you're clapping because the jury came in with a guilty verdict. But you just watched this grandmother get murdered. So how do we fix that? How do we get people back to connect? You don't go to jury duty, you don't vote, but you're jumping for jumping jacks because a jury came in with a guilty verdict. How about if none of those black jurors sat on that jury panel and said, man, screw this, it got nothing to do with me, I don't want to be involved. Do you think that all-white jury would have found that officer guilty?
Right.
Right.
So if we don't change the way we converse messages, we're never going to fix these issues.
Right.
You're a thug. Why? Because that's what they want to call us. I'm not a drug dealer. I'm a businessman. I just sell a different product than you. And that's how you have to tell people so they can change the ideology of themselves. I'm not just a this, I'm a this, I'm a this, I'm a that. Mingos, you got mad hats. I only care about one. What is it? Father. I don't care about nothing else. Because that's the only hat that values me. All that other stuff, what does it matter? If my children don't benefit, what does it matter that your community this and a community that?
And that's what I say all the time, right? Like, we like to, in our community, we like to downplay the role that the weed man plays in our community, right? But at the end of the day, like you just said, that's a businessman. I've sat down with multiple drug dealers and done their resumes, right? And it's not to, and when you look at how they phrase their mind, and they're doing literally the same thing that most CEOs do, multi-billion-dollar companies, right? And you're not sleeping until 3 in the morning until everything you have in your inventory is sold.
Unless you're Akon, you sell your last bag and get locked up.
Yeah, I'm tired of you, but
I'm just saying, he said it on his song. Everybody can. I got a stolen car, no registration. What do you need a registration for a stolen car? What kind of car thief are you?
Right.
Like, come on. And this is what we do to our community. We listen to music and don't really listen to it. Right? Jay-Z said he's got 99 problems and a bitch ain't one. How about 99 hustles and a bitch ain't one? What are those 99 hustles? This, and the third. Why? I got 10% here, like you were just talking about. I got 10% here, like you just was talking about. Now you want to come out with 333, talking about he should have bought more Picassos because they were this amount and now they're worth this amount. What? You just got hip to it? But you already poisoned the whole generation. Hovey, baby. True. That's the wackest name that you could ever. You went from dead presidents can represent me to call me Hovey, baby, so you can be commercialized to make more profit on the pain and suffering of your own community.
One thing I do notice about an industry like that, though, is that a lot of the figureheads aren't going to promote people unless they're promoting that pain, right? And this is how I feel like, to be honest, although I like to listen to it, drill music is so popularized, is so fiended after in the music industry, right? Because black pain and black suffering, nothing makes more money than that. Even if you look at us and how we're represented in TV,
yeah, white boys buy it. White boys buy it.
The news stations go after the most ignorant person on the scene, knowing that they're just gonna be like, shout out my mans, or I don't know what happened, but I was here and I saw blah blah blah, and they're not saying I'm not talking to nobody or anything. And then those are the images of blackness that are highlighted throughout all of America.
Right.
Constantly. It's just
yeah.
So how do we change that conversation? You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna play this video real quick, right? This is just like a couple minute video of a couple different instances of police brutality. One being right here in Boston, in Dorchester. I just want to get like reactions off it. We was talking about it, we kind of moved on past it, so I didn't get to play it, but I'm gonna play it now.
Please relax.
Get out of the car right now. Now.
This is not how you treat a vet. I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you're gonna treat black men. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, I peeped
Hold
it.
on. What's going on? Hold on. Watch it.
You see the officer who used the pepper spray now using his knees to beat the lieutenant as they push him into the cement.
Why am I being treated like this? Why?
You're not cooperating. Get on the ground.
He was released with no charges and is suing police.
Hey, get down.
Officer Nicholas Urena shoots and kills 16-year-old Micaiah Bryant.
Huh? Kevin?
Yeah.
No.
Sure?
He's still on the job.
Yeah.
What is your name?
This kid played basketball with us at the Marshall.
We're looking to speak to. It's not Kevin?
Wrong person.
What's your name?
You don't even know my name.
You can tell me, it's fine. What's your name?
Of course, because I knew these guys doing a circle around.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
your name?
he's a prick. This dude right here is a prick.
Hold up.
Here we go.
Here you go.
Stage 2.
Yeah, 1606. What's 1606? You can film it though. What's your name?
Why do you need to know my name? Why are you stopping me, actually?
Because we're looking to speak to you.
I don't want to be spoken to.
What's up? What's happening? Where do you live?
You don't need to know that.
You just out here killing time today?
It's a barbershop.
You look like you just got it done.
Because I'm clean. Why you bothering me? I knew you was going to bother me since I got out my Uber.
Yeah.
I had my camera ready.
I know you did.
Exactly. So what you stopping me for? You still ain't telling me what you stopping me for.
And they
still ain't telling me.
Is your parents proud of you for flipping out the police?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Have a great day, contributor. What do you do for work? Anything?
I do a lot for work.
Like what? Like what?
Do a lot for work.
Go away.
Do a lot for
Go away.
work.
Go away.
You're stupid.
Go away, tough guy.
Pig.
Go away.
That's what he is.
Go away.
That's what he is.
Go away.
Stupid.
Now it's going away.
Make sure you
I
post it.
appreciate
Right,
you.
right.
Make sure you post this and show what are you doing? It's noontime on a Thursday. What are you doing today?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm working. What are you doing?
And that's how they treat us because they think we're less
You
than
ain't even
them.
be stopping the wrong fucking
That's
person.
what time on Thursday.
Fuck out of here.
You know my work schedule.
Nah, anything goes, bro.
Stupid. Just stop wasting your own time.
That's right on
Which phone is that?
Who
Charles
that?
Street.
Whose phone is
Right
that?
next to the Grover.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April, 2021 at 1:44 p.m.
Sit here and talk about community relations.
But you know what's so funny? When his face look like that, it's like when your girl tell you you're pregnant. And you look, you're like, did I hit that right? It's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. No. But the reality is he already knew he was guilty.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that face says. You know, I'm joking about it, but it's the reality. You know your girl's pregnant. Like, you know it.
Right.
It's no secret about it.
Right.
He knew he was guilty because he knew what he did. So there was no reaction because he knew what he did. But again, what are we going to do as a community to make sure that our civic duties continue to happen?
Yeah.
Because the real heroes in that story is the jury. The grand jury who sat there that listened to it to indict him, and then the jury who actually sat there and listened to the case to deliberate for as long as they had to turn around and give a verdict on the information that was provided. Not on emotions, not on, what people were, because again, they're isolated too. That jury is isolated. They're in a hotel. They don't get to go home to their family. They can't speak to nobody. They can't use a cell phone.
Right.
Going back to what you were saying about the police going through that rigorous process, right, of isolation, right? Because that's what basically it is. You're isolated. So these jurors, if they're about it after day 3 in isolation, you're gonna know who's about it and who's not. I gotta go. I can't get. My Instagram needs me. But how do we change that? How do we get our community to be more active in an association that's also a crime watch? If we're not willing to change the wording.
Right.
We're still calling people snitches for telling the truth. See something, tell something. But then the community's telling you you're wrong for speaking up on an action of violence.
I feel like we've also, I want to blame my generation and the prior generation for how we've changed the definition of the word snitch, right? Because it's like now, as soon as you give out any information, you're a snitch. But how I was taught was the original word for snitch. The way you originally use snitch is if you were involved and then you told.
No, if you seen anything and you said
Right,
anything in the
right.
hood,
That's always
you
like-
are
Now it's just no matter what.
Yeah.
If you even say anything, you can have nothing to do with it. You a snitch.
And even if you're a civilian, you're a snitch. If you
That's fine. They can call me snitch all day. I got the transcripts bringing my son. I'm like a Harry Potter book. I'm gonna do what's right for me. I did it. My brother, I got shot right on that corner. And I went to court. I could care less who it was. I'm not gonna throw my life away because you got a street code that don't exist.
Right.
They don't tell you in the Fed joint that everybody from Boston is holding hands, hoping they don't get beat up by another group of. Remember, DC, Baltimore area is all federal time. Everybody goes to the Fed joints. So you got 500-600 guys doing Fed time like they were in Nashua Street, but they was in South Bay. So when you're in the Fed joint, you go to Milwaukee, there's 300-400 guys from different parts of this country versus the 5-6 from Boston. So it's a whole different playing field.
Right.
But we're not telling the younger folks the real deal. We're telling them what we want to enhance what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm out here shooting and killing people, oh, don't tell. But then it's my grandmother, it's my mother, it's my father, it's my cousin, it's my brother, it's my friend. Yo, somebody got to come forward because it's my relative.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
Because it's your relative, it's snitching, and that's a mindset. And the only way we change that mindset is by educating our kids. If I jump in if I rob a bank with you and I get caught, yeah, that is snitching. I did it with you.
Right.
Yeah.
When I'm walking down the street, you jump out, you shoot at me. I never did nothing to you. I'm a square. I'm trying to live the most productive life I can live. But it's not fair to the individual who's lived that lifestyle. It's not fair to that grandmother to be buried for things that other people are doing.
Yeah.
She ain't never hurt nobody, but guess what? No one's willing to come forward to testify in her behalf.
Right.
As a individual who was living a square life. She's not the first grandmother to get killed.
She won't be the last.
Right? So what are we going to do to change it?
Right.
And this is where it starts. Differences. A minute ago, y'all answered no to be on the crime watch, but then you answered yes to be on association. There's 17 associations in the South End. 17 from Mass Ave to Berkeley. 17 associations. How many you got on Bowdoin?
Right.
One.
How many you got in Common Square? And then you ask how many members at that table.
And who are those members?
Yeah, exactly.
So everything that goes on in our community is not going to change. This George Floyd conversation is not changing our community.
How many George Floyds do we have? Trayvon
Martin,
Eric Garner.
We got one here that was
Henry,
murdered by the police. Terrence Coleman was murdered by the police. Rasheen was murdered by the police. And we still asking what happened. We went to a rally on Saturday about individuals who were murdered by police in Boston, in Massachusetts. And there was maybe, 50 people?
Like 50 people were there.
Because, these lives don't matter? Right. So the reality is we follow trends. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on news. Rush to it.
Look at the fucking exactly what you say, trends. Look at the fucking the rally that happened for when George Floyd first got killed, down fucking Washington Street all the way through downtown. You couldn't even see the street.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could, if you had a drone in the air, you see people as far back as the camera can see. You know what I mean?
Man march.
Yeah, and you couldn't even see the pavement. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because there were so many people.
And guess how many people showed up to the police reform hearing? BPD didn't even show up. It's on paper. They had a hearing on police reform in Boston, and the police department didn't show up because of lack of respect. Because they know the black community is not going to stop killing ourselves. So why would they entertain a conversation that they don't have no push? There's nobody pushing this. Right. They don't want us to push it.
I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, I was saying
Yeah,
there's
that's
marketing
never
for
heard-
all
yeah,
kinds of
never
stuff,
heard of it,
but
right.
when it's shit that matters, there's no budget for it. There's nobody that wants to do it.
We have to do a hearing, and then from the hearing we'll have another hearing, and then we'll have no.
This
There's no time for that.
Miss Ambush was an art teacher at the Marshall. And I walked into her classroom and it was art all the time. It didn't matter what it was, what it wasn't. She was doing some form of art. You're an art teacher. What you're doing here can improve the lives of hundreds of students, families, who now they say, oh, mommy, I got an art competition I got to be in. It's $100 gift card to play more video games. I don't care what it is. Right. Now you got this student eager to paint this picture or write this essay to play on a football team for free, but we don't give each other the opportunity because if you outshine me, that's a problem.
This is a conversation we have all the time over here, especially with black people and artists and even any type of art. Like, people just don't want to collaborate with each other. They don't want to work together because they want everything for themselves, you know.
The black community is a crab in the barrel.
No, don't use crab in the barrel.
Nah,
crabs get out of cages. Crabs are stuck in the cage trying to get out and to save their lives. Crabs have rubber bands on their claws because once they grab, they don't let go. If I get to the top of the barrel and you're grabbing on, you're gonna come out with me because you're not letting go. Crabs are not pulling each other down. They're trying to save their lives because they're stuck in the barrel. Because people use the wrong analogies. They use that so you can think you're a crab. Because crabs are bottom feeders, right? That's where that comes from. Right. Bottom feeders are sometimes the best things on the planet. A shrimp is a cockroach of the ocean. So how come people eat shrimp? How come people eat lobsters? How come they're so expensive? Oysters, so expensive. It's the way we look at things. It's the way they put it in our heads. They make you want to see things a certain way. I'm always the bad guy. I don't care if I go anywhere I go, I'll always be the bad guy. Because that's what they want to put in people's heads. They don't see the countless DJs in Dorchester that I've influenced with a swimming pool.
Right.
A pool that wasn't even regulated, 20-yard pool. We were able to change thousands of lives between me and Mr. Jackson, Mr. Brown, Cynthia in the gym, Lou in the gym, having a space where kids can be kids. They grew into become great adults.
Mr. Brown.
But they want us to use an analogy that we're thugs, we're gangbangers, you're a drug dealer. No, I'm a businessman. I have a big family. We're not a gang, we're a big family. My aunt got 15 sons. What the hell you want me to do? You don't want me to go sit on my grandmother's porch in the summer? Because we got big families?
Right.
Because we're a big family, we're a gang. They put us in the gang database because once you're in the gang database, you commit a crime as a different sentencing. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Not everybody does. So when you're on TV doing all this and they affiliate you, if you as a regular citizen did something, your sentencing is different than someone who's in a gang database. So why would you want to portray yourself as a gangster when the same crime gets 2 different times? Crack, cocaine, 2 different sentencing. Till recently. Why? Crack is a black drug, cocaine is a white drug. So the white guy gets caught with 10 grams, the black guy gets caught with 10 grams, he gets 10 years, he gets a year. People don't know that. And this is why we got to educate. It's all about educating ourselves to understand the systems. Now we break the systems down. And that's why I was being pushed to get out the system, because I kept learning the system. I kept understanding why the nurse was always coming to get your classmates. Did you know why they were coming to get your classmates? You ever notice why the nurse always was coming to get that one classmate?
No.
Ritalin. You had to get his meds.
Right.
Cool.
Take him to the office, pop his meds, he come back.
Listen, I did a whole paper when I was in college. I was at the same time when I was in college, I was working as a long-term sub at the Orenberg in the lab program. So I could choose my thesis paper to be on anything I wanted. So I'm like, let me choose something that's right here in front of my face every day that I can see firsthand. Every single kid in that classroom was quiet. And I'm like, why are these kids?
They on Mass Ave now.
Yeah, I'm like, why are these kids? No, it's just not even a joke, for real.
That's
though.
where it starts.
I'm like, why are these kids in the lab program? So I looked into it. There was 8 kids in my class. I had every kid's file look all on antipsychotics for ADHD because because where they are in the community, that's where the prescriptions are going. That's where the pharmaceuticals are getting their money.
Doctors got to give them 10% to get their money back.
So the other day, 2 weeks ago, I'm in the drive-thru at Mass Ave McDonald's, and I hear Miss Rivas. I'm like, who the fuck is saying Miss Rivas? I'm like about to go in. He's like, some boy has his mask on. He's like, can I have some change or whatever? I'm like, no, sorry, I ain't got change. Just got a card. And I'm like, sometimes if I have like snacks for my kids in the car, I'll give it to them or whatever. But I have nothing. I'm like, order my food, and I kept going. He took his mask down. It was my student from the Orenberg, and my heart
I didn't say it as a joke. I said it because it's the reality.
Yeah, my heart broke so bad because I wrote a paper on this kid, and this kid was like, when he graduated, he was like, Miss Rivas, I'm 14. Wait for me 4 more years. 4 more
Oh
years.
shit! Was he Spanish?
He was black.
No, I was gonna say them Spanish dudes, they be on it. I'm just saying, y'all mature too quick. Full gold tees at 12.
Like that. So him being there just proved everything that I wrote in my was like 18-page paper. You know what I mean? Like
life experience.
It's really crazy how like where you live and what color your skin determines what medication you get.
Read the book Black Taxis. You'll understand that. Birth control was created for blacks to not reproduce.
Listen,
and then the white girls went crazy. So they started giving. It's a show, right? White girls gone wild. Right?
I mean,
listen, I did another research paper about Puerto Rico and how they had the first lab. They did the first birth control lab was in Puerto Rico, because they said Puerto Ricans are having the most children out of all the American citizens. So we're gonna see how effective
Shit,
this birth
they didn't meet
control
us
is.
there.
and they started it right there, like for real. Like you're gonna start in this little island that has no rights, but they're citizens. They can't vote for a president. They can't. Right. They have their own governor that makes all the laws that decided that we're gonna put a poor business next to a wealthy business, next to a poor business, next to a wealthy business to see how that goes. Go to Puerto Rico. You'll see one building with graffiti, the next building got gold and blue lights and shit. Like, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Well, it does make sense because they are doing it deliberately. That's part of it.
The only funding that the U.S. is giving Puerto Rico is to prevent the reproduction of Puerto Ricans.
It be like that.
Like, for real? Like, that's crazy.
It reminds me of, don't get me wrong, what I'm about to say might upset some people, but Planned Parenthood's first original mission, when we talked about it, was eugenics. It was to limit, so the way they phrased it was like, black people commit the lowest crime. If we limit how much black women can produce, we are lowering crime in the U.S. That was literally Margaret Thatcher's idea for starting Planned Parenthood. Don't get me wrong, I respect the organization for sexual health services, but even when you look at the stats now, the majority of the people receiving, let's say, birth preventative services, are minorities, women of color, black women, indigenous women, and you look at these stats and you look at who they're serving versus who they're educating, it's a real life discrepancy, and we don't talk about that enough in our communities, period. When you look at the black population over time, it's actually minority populations, period, out here.
I have a personal experience with Planned Parenthood. I'm like, okay, I got 3 kids, I don't want no more kids. I'm gonna go to Planned Parenthood, I'm gonna tie my tubes. I had no idea, like, there was so many different options for preventing yourself to permanently not have children. I go into Planned Parenthood, never been there before, 15-minute consultation before you get your tubes tied, okay? You get a letter from your doctor that you talked about it 30 days prior, talked about tying your tubes. Are you sure? Yes, check yes or no, sign here, then go there to Planned Parenthood in 30 days. Go there 15 minutes, they say, oh, you have options 1 through 10 to prevent pregnancy. And then she says, I'm gonna suggest this method. It's called E-Shore. We put these metal coils in your fallopian tube and it creates scar tissue. And that's, and she's like, you don't need medication. It's easy, quick. You heal in 6 weeks and that's it. I'm like, okay.
For real.
I did it with no medication. I had 3 kids with no medication. I could do it. It was the most painful experience ever. Nobody was allowed in the room with me. No one can hold your hand. Wow. They give you a brochure about it, right? I did this October 2017. January 2018, it was banned by the FDA, and it was already in court for 5 years. Why would you offer me that? You know what I mean? So now, guess what? I got lupus. And the first thing that they say with that is there's a link from the nickel in those coils, creating a genetic and environmental link that my body's breaking down now. So my liver thinks I'm in pain. I'm sick. I'm not sick. My liver thinks I'm sick, so it's overproducing white blood cells. And now my kidneys are going, my joints are going, and now I'm on chemo for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. Like, if I had one person in there to be like, listen, actually, you want to look into this a little bit more. But it was completely white staff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The cultural context.
I was the only person of color in the waiting room. And you're not allowed to bring nobody back there with you? Like, because you have no support?
It's done deliberately.
And that's why I say, like, when I advocate against Planned Parenthood providing services or other white specific organizations, I always in their place advocate for LGBT organizations. Why? Because usually these are more progressive orders with actual black staff who's actually the experience. For instance, in Boston, we have Boston Glass, which is the gay, lesbian, adolescent social services. I worked there my entire time throughout high school. They do sexual health testing and they do sexual health consulting. They do homelessness prevention. They do a lot. They do a lot as an organization, and as an LGBT org, their main focus is sexual health services. Now, you went to Planned Parenthood. Their first option to use was discarded fallopian tubes with metal coils, right? At Boston Glass, they would have taken you through the whole 9, and you would have at least had to be in consultation with one of our counselors with one of their counselors for at least 3 weeks before there was anything else.
Before there was a decision.
Exactly. Before there was any final decision, so that you can know what was happening to your body.
Well, it's like a car salesman. He's not going to tell you the tires are flat.
Yeah.
Right.
If you don't look, you ain't gonna see it.
Right.
So a lot of the things in our community, look, I gave out hundreds of boxes of food through this whole COVID stuff. And I open and I look to make sure the dates are not expired. One group will get expired products, one group wouldn't. So I said to a couple of the organizers, I said, look, man, just check the dates before you give them out. Oh, I'm all set. So you're going to give the community expired food. Well, you know, it's free. You can't complain.
You still got liability for that, though.
Facts, right? So I opened the box, I said, look, this shit's expired. I'm all set. I'm not giving this out to people. I said, now, if you want to take it out of the box and give them the veggies, we can do that. But I'm not giving people spoiled milk. I'm not giving them rotten meat. I'm not giving people shit they're going to go and get sick. Right. Not everybody knows how to read the labels for expiration dates.
Right.
And when someone's giving you something, you're expecting you could eat this.
Right.
You don't even think that you should. Yeah, you don't even think that I should check this.
But we have to.
And especially if you're in a position where you have to go get, have to go to a food giveaway, right? If you're going to collect some food or whatever, you're gonna go home and cook it. You're not thinking, let me check this now,
but
because now I got food.
That's an automatic assumption. They're not gonna look. They're not gonna pay attention.
Right.
They don't pay attention anyway. This is why we have buildings popping up everywhere. This is why we have all this violence in our community. This is why we have the same issues that you faced as a student, that I faced as a student, that my father faced as a student, and the fathers before that faced.
Right.
Because we don't really pay attention. We pay attention to the stuff we don't need to pay attention to, instead of the stuff we need to. So that's why I'm running for office. That's why Father Jacob is running for office. That's why Leon Rivera is running for office. There's folks out here who's been doing the work. No matter what their age bracket is, they've been doing the work because they've been paying attention. Because we've been paying attention, folks who are supposed to be pulling the wolves over your eyes, they're upset. The gatekeepers are upset because we're talking about these situations. I got 20 stitches in my mouth from the cops. I don't rock with any cop. I don't care if he's family or not. Don't come to my house with your uniform on.
Right.
Period. Leave that at the door at your house. Don't puff your chest up because you got a badge. I don't care if you got a badge. When you was in elementary school and you was getting punked around, you didn't have a badge. You wasn't that big. And you wasn't that bad.
And those are the people becoming cops right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the issue stems from that.
They want that power, because it was taken away from a lot of cops. That's one thing my mother always told me because she went to McKinley growing up. So she was always like, there are kids that she knows from McKinley who are now cops.
Right.
Right? That, to me, that's just insanity.
Well,
but it's not saying
let me tell you one thing.
Yeah.
Some kids were placed there like they did Madison 6 years ago because the system's like that.
Yeah, just like you went to the parent center. You know what I mean?
Y'all not wrong.
Okay. I played hockey with white boys from McKinley Tech. Coolest dudes ever. I wish I can find them so I can thank them for teaching me how to ice skate. Can you ice skate?
No.
Can you snowboard?
Yeah. I can snowboard because you took me, but I ain't never been
snowboarding. The kids after him all ice skate. After the group that I worked with, after DJ's group, they all ice skate.
I ain't got the knees to ice skate, man. Last time I tried.
You played floor hockey?
Yeah, floor hockey for sure. Floor hockey, lacrosse. I mean, I played pretty much every sport with him. I mean, I at least tried every sport.
Yeah.
And that was the goal.
Yeah.
Was to get you to try it once, twice, 3 times, the 4th time, and maybe not.
Yeah.
But we don't give each other that try.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't give each other that opportunity to fail. Because failing is bad.
Yeah.
Failing is learning.
Right.
That's the best part of learning.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, Einstein didn't become Einstein because he knew it from the jump. He failed and failed and failed and got it right. And all of a sudden, he's the most brilliant guy in the world. He can split atoms. He can make this. He can make that. Because he failed. Failing is part of learning. But in our society, in our community, because you do certain things, you're a failure. Yeah. Because you don't do what the status quo's doing, you're a failure.
Right. Because
you don't follow the pack, you're a failure.
Yep.
You know, there's always I had this kid named Buzz Lightyear. To this day, his mother, that's what Buzz is doing good. Mingo's Buzz is doing good. Buzz Lightyear. Buzz, what are you looking at? You don't see that plane? Oh shit, how the hell you see that plane? Coach, look, it's way up there. And the mother's like, he doesn't want to play football. He doesn't really like play football. I said, listen, you think he's not paying attention, just give him a break, let him just play. I'll figure out where to fit him in. All practice. You see the bees? He's picking up dandelions at the park with the bees in it because he's looking at nature. He's a scientist. He's looking to research, right? So she's like, oh, he doesn't want to give him. I said, listen, take your money back, leave him on the team. Let me deal with it. The kid wound up playing high school football. The kid, science and math, brilliant. Because when he was at that age, instead of forcing football on him, I would have him stand with me on the sideline and he'll just be like, there's 11 guys on the field, coach. How you know? I counted them. 11 guys with blue helmets. 11 guys with black helmets. We wear black helmets. We got 11 guys on the field. I'm like, he's not stupid. Right. He's a smart kid. Hey, can you tell me what the other team's doing? What do you mean? I said, why they keep moving people in and out like that? You don't know? I said, no, I don't know. They're changing sides of the teams. And little by little, as I'm antagonizing him, and he's giving me answers, he's giving me the answers I want because I'm asking him the questions to get them. Yeah. By the time the season was done, he knew there was 11 guys on defense, there was 11 guys on offense, there was a special team, there was all these little pieces.
He had a brain for strategy. He was there to play. You know? Yeah. It's identifying, and that's again, you as a coach are able to identify that in him, right?
It's a mindset thing. Right. It's
Absolutely.
a mindset.
Absolutely.
But you're not going to get a white teacher to relate to a black student who's never seen.
Right.
You're not going to get a white cop to engage with a black kid who's never seen the struggles.
Right.
You know, you can't say I was white and I grew up in the projects and I understand the black struggle.
Right.
Right. Well, try it.
Right.
My father was an alcoholic. My mother was a drug addict. Okay, your father was an alcoholic, your mother might have been a drug addict, but you got services.
You still what?
We went to jail.
Right.
You know what I mean? You still got a privilege that we don't get.
Right.
But today, right, keep your privilege. My money's green. This is a capitalist society. It got nothing to do with color no more. Trump made that clear.
Yep.
Right? So how do you get your child to go from the worker to the business owner? From the worker to the CEO? The mindset of how to get there. Every nickel that you can cash in from a can is yours. I'll collect them, you cash them in. It's a trade-off, right? That nickel now is used to build credit, to build investment. It's a mindset. These kids are playing these games. What's Monopoly?
Right.
It's not a game, it's life.
Yeah.
But the way you play it and the way you teach it changes the way they learn it. So we don't do that. We don't flip things over. White folks will find every reason to teach a kid, oh, he doesn't have, listen, your little Joey needs to get up and get an ass whipping. He in the store stomping, screaming, yelling. My kid does that, I discipline him and you look at me for being wrong. Your kid does that, and you take him to the doctor, they throw him on a pill. 30 years later, he's on that side. It's proven. It's proven in studies. But how do we change the way we go as a community to stop allowing our students to be medicated by the school nurse, to go back to class, to be able to sit in the classroom like a zombie for 4 more hours? Because he got to take a pill before he comes to school, he got to take a pill at lunch, and then he got to take a pill when he get home. So when does the kid get to learn? When does his mind get a break?
Right.
And that's just what we got to change. These conversations are great, but if we're not willing to get into the arena to fight, to change the way we go about it, we're going to be in the same boat. 20 years down the line, 40 years down the line, 60 years down the line. Because the conversation is only a conversation without action. We need action. We need actions right now. That's great. What happened in Milwaukee? We still got people getting killed in Boston. We still got issues in Boston. What are we going to do to change it? How do we get your interest put on the table? Your interest on the table. You're a father now. He comes first. But BPS sucks. So where you going to send him? What community center is he going to play in? What school is he going to go to? What jobs is he going to get? So if we don't antagonize those conversations, it's too late when he's 15. It's too late when he's 20 to figure out what we're doing in life. Most kids will tell you by the time they're 7 what they want to be. It's my job as a parent to make it happen, to put them on that path and guide them. But we get so busy with what we're doing that we forget the school's already failing our kids, and we continue to allow them to keep failing the kids because they interviewed for the superintendent for the school. There was 8 people in the audience. 8. 54,000 students in BPS. 8 people was in the audience, and I was one of them. And I'm sitting there like, my kids don't even go to Boston Public. And they picked the one they wanted when we had an individual. She came from Milwaukee. She was failing in Milwaukee. She's from Milwaukee, the superintendent.
Yeah.
We had a gentleman from right here on Hancock Street that was working at a cathedral, brought the school ratings up, brought up the grades, brought up the graduation rate, and they skipped him and went to somebody from out of town. Why do we keep picking people from out of town to represent the city we live in? That's why I became political. Let's stop picking these people you don't know. Let's pick you. I'd rather see you as the commissioner. You got a better game plan than who they're picking. At least you're not out here touching kids and getting covered up and then drinking buddies. That's Marty's drinking buddy. Why was he put his drinking buddy in jail? Let's go back one step. When people watch this, I want them to know who you are, where we at, and what it's about.
I'm Sammy. I'm one of the owners of Modern Party Art. We are in all things art for people of color. We're right in Dorchester on Bowdoin Street. So we do a lot of paint nights and open mic nights, comedy nights, anything that the community brings to our attention, we make it happen. So yeah, come visit us, 268 Bowdoin Street or modernpartyart.com. You can see all of our events coming up or how to book a private event. So yeah. That's basically it.
Yeah,
Thank
before
you
y'all
guys
gotta get that wall behind y'all before y'all in that video.
My artwork is on the wall. I do a lot of fine art.